What's going on, you guys? Back again with another Halloween month video. Okay, there's like a dog crying like it's at the house next door. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but if it does, fuck it, maybe it'll make the video scarier. I don't know. Anyways, this video is about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood. I actually planned to review Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency separately a long time ago. Never got around to doing it. I figure Phantom Blood is the most fitting JoJo part when it comes to Halloween month, as well as the fact that it's going to premiere this Saturday night, meaning tonight, the day I'm recording this, on Toonami. So I figured this is the best time to talk about it. So let's do it. Roll shitty low budget intro. That intro is so trash, but I tried. I have no money. Don't fucking blame me. But anyways, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Since JoJo's going to be premiering tonight, I guess I will not spoil things in this video because people might decide to start watching it weekly, the English dub on Toonami or whatever, so I'll give my thoughts on the Japanese version, the English dub, talk a little bit about the characters and the basic story, why it fits with Halloween, but I'm not going to go too far into spoilers, so don't worry about that. The setup for Phantom Blood is Jonathan Joestar, our main character, is this rich kid who lives without his mother because she died in a carriage accident, and when this dude, who was just going to loot the bodies of the carriage accident, discovers that Jonathan's father is alive, Jonathan's father mistakes him as someone trying to save him, says, "I owe you a huge favor for saving me," and that favor is taking in his son when he passes away. So now Dio, Brando, shows up, and he is a psychotic little child who is not so little. Seriously, they're 13 in this show, and they got muscles like crazy. It's insane. But anyways, seriously, their muscle gains are what's scary this Halloween. But that aside, Dio wants to make Jonathan's life a living hell, just become the good son and get all the money and fuck over Jonathan, and he goes to great lengths to do so. Way beyond what you'd expect from a normal 13-year-old. He's a super over-the-top villain. Again, I say 13-year-old, but they don't sound like it or look like it, really. I can believe that they're teenagers, except for maybe Dio's voice, but yeah, like 13, which, okay, technically a teen, but still. They grow to become adults, and Dio does something crazy, and it involves a lot of supernatural stuff, and the only way for Jonathan to take down Dio and stop him from being a fucking dick is to also learn some supernatural things, and that's basically your basis for the combat. That is Hamon, or the Ripple, or Sendo, or whatever the fuck, the Power of the Sun, whatever. And it's similar when you see it happen, it looks very much like what you'd see from Fist of the North Star. If you've seen that series, like Kenshiro will throw like 3 punches at a dude and then they'll fucking blow up. It kind of does that, except it works more on the creatures that Jonathan has to fight in this, and those creatures being zombies, vampires, fucking zombie dude with like snakes coming out of his fucking face, and then there's like this cat with a person face. He's scary. I don't think Jonathan actually fights him, but fuck it. And then Jonathan has a love interest, of course, because you gotta have the love interest in there, the childhood romance and everything. Again, I use the term child loosely. Did you see that boxing match? I mean, of course, I'm basing this video with no spoilers, but that boxing match, like, they would fuck me up nasty, I'm just saying. I'm like 22, so anyways, that's your basic story setup without going too much into spoilers, and you can probably see why I picked this for Halloween month, especially if you have seen the series. Zombies, cemetery fights, creepy mansion, British stuff, all kinds of scary things are in this, and it's cool. It doesn't really carry a dreadful tone or anything, it carries more of a standard shonen tone. This is a shonen series from back in the 80s, but, well, it doesn't break the mold in any way, outside of maybe the ending, because the ending is pretty different for most shonen series. Of course, it keeps going on and on. You know, there's going to be a whole bunch of JoJos. Pretty much most people know that going into the series, that there's a bunch of JoJos. At least that's what got me into the series, is the idea of that concept, but the ending is still the most unique part of the story. The rest of it's pretty damn conventional, but it's entertaining. Like, I can make like a whole list that could be like an hour-long video of all the problems JoJo has with like plot and continuity and inconsistencies and all that shit. But that's not what you watch JoJo for. You watch JoJo for the pure entertainment of the crazy dialogue, the super unique powers, which really aren't on display too much in part 1. There are some creative uses for Hamon, but it's mostly like sort of part 2, but like pretty much part 3 and onwards when the really crazy abilities come in. But still, there is some cool action here. The animation in this show is not the most high budget as far as like seasonal series go, but it still has its own style. It uses cheap animation at times, but because JoJo has such a style, because the color palette will change at times and do the crazy letters across the screen and all that psychedelic shit, it does create a really cool tone and a really cool atmosphere for the show that makes it all its own. There's nothing like JoJo unless something parodies JoJo, and that really helps mask some of the more like mediocre still shot animation that they throw in there at times. Moving on to the characters, we have Jonathan Joestar. He's your gentleman, very chivalrous, sort of spoiled kid at first, but that changes real quick after going through what he has to go through in life, and he's just a genuinely nice, cool guy. There's nothing really too special about him. He very much is Boy Scout-ish, but I feel like for just 9 episodes, that's not too big of a deal. That's another thing I don't know if I mentioned, that part 1 is only 9 episodes, so I think if you're on the fence about jumping into JoJo, definitely start with part 1. Even though part 1 doesn't have a lot of the staples that make JoJo, like parts 3 and 4 and onward, Dio Brando, that is why you watch part 1. But anyways, without spoiling too much, that is why you watch part 1. Because Dio is a great villain. He is basically, I don't want to say the best part, but he is very entertaining. He's a good villain that does a lot of cool shit, he's really over the top, and he just really works. There are a few other characters worth mentioning, like Jonathan's love interest, Arena. She's really nothing special, she's just kind of a girl who knows Jonathan as a kid, and then they get separated for reasons I'm not going to spoil. There's a lot of stuff to spoil, which I'm trying to avoid. They reunite as adults, and she's just sort of there. She doesn't appear a lot, there's not really much to say. You got Speedwagon, who is very fun, very entertaining character. He's basically the play-by-play announcer, which is really weird, but you sort of get into it if you're getting into JoJo. There's a lot of over-the-top yelling and over-the-top shit going on. But if you can get into that, and you can get into all the crazy poses, I haven't even mentioned the poses yet, but if you can get into the crazy poses and the crazy dialogue and all that stuff, you might find JoJo to be really entertaining. And yeah, Speedwagon pretty much is just the play-by-play announcer. He plays a part in the plot a couple times, but he doesn't really get in on the action, and he is there to commentate, and it's funny. It's funny. Like I said, you don't go to JoJo for the crazy complex plot or anything like that, which I'm not saying it has a crazy complex plot, but I'm saying you don't go to it to get a plot, you don't go to it to get, like super well-written dialogue or anything like that. You go to it for pretty much pure entertainment, to see the absurd bizarreness of it, if you will. Is bizarreness a word? I don't know, I'm making it a word. There's also Zeppeli, who is the man who trains Jonathan in Hamon. This is a cool character who plays a pretty big role in the story, obviously. And there's really not much else to say about him. Not to avoid spoilers, it's just he's cool. He has some cool dialogue, he has some cool Hamon moves. I like the character development he gives Jonathan. The climax of their big fight that they have, which if you've seen the series, you know what I'm talking about, is really cool. And yeah, that's pretty much the characters. I talked about the characters, I talked about the story, I talked about the absurdness of the series, the poses, the color palette changes. Like, you'll have Jonathan's hair just turn like bright blue. Normally it's dark blue. Or it'll turn red or something. All kinds of crazy shit. I know this review sort of sounds all over the place, and if you haven't seen JoJo, this might actually turn you off from the series, because it doesn't sound the greatest when I explain it, and JoJo really is something you just have to see. I definitely recommend watching the first episode and seeing if you like it. Seeing it within context and, like what the fuck is this Pet Platypus guy talking about? It's like, okay, well, let me watch it, see what it is in context, because the first episode hooked me on the series. I was really, really impressed with the first episode. It was one of the best anime premiere episodes that I've personally seen. I know that sounds like pretty high praise, you might not enjoy it as much as I did, but I really enjoyed the first episode a lot. I thought it set up a lot of good stuff between Jonathan and Dio. Definitely made me want to see the rest of the series, or at least the rest of Phantom Blood. And if you do end up enjoying Phantom Blood and you like it and it's cool and everything, I personally think Battle Tendency completely blows it away. In fact, I think Battle Tendency is still my favorite part of JoJo, followed by Part 4, then Part 3, and then Part 1. I do put Part 1 at the bottom, It is probably the weakest part of the series. It is very short. It's very simple. But it does set up Dio Brando. It does set up the poses and the color palette changes and the bizarre nature of the series. It plants the seeds for what JoJo is to become, and it's kind of interesting to see what JoJo develops into when this is sort of like its like this is like fucking part 3 and 4, like final form Frieza, and this is like first form Frieza, you know what I mean? With all that being said, I would honestly probably give Phantom Blood a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I think it's good to very good-ish, kind of, not really though. Like, the music is really good too. Also, I want to mention that Jonathan has a really cool theme song that plays whenever he beats the shit out of somebody and wins a fight. Very fitting of his character. I just want to throw in the music because I didn't really mention the music. And that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood. Like I said, 7.5 to 8. Good to very good-ish, kind of. It's not as good as the later parts. It definitely isn't. But I think if you watch it and you enjoy it and you like it, and then watch part 2, and in my opinion it's way better, so if you really like part 2, things do change a lot when you get to part 3, but I feel like if you got that far, if you got through parts 1 and 2, which is the entire first season, 26 episodes, you're probably going to enjoy JoJo, and you're probably going to want to watch parts 3 and 4, which is currently airing and everything, so yes. And like I said, if you want to start watching JoJo, you can watch it on Toonami, if you live in the US, of course. It's going to premiere tonight, the English dub. English dub, it's okay. It's accurate to the Japanese version, that's fine. They do have accents. They aren't always the greatest, because like I said, they are British. I briefly mentioned that, but there are British characters here, and yeah, it's an okay dub. Personally, I would recommend watching it in Japanese, honestly, because there's English involved, where if you don't know what English is, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, but it's where Japanese people say English words with a Japanese accent, and it's hilarious. More prominent in later parts, especially in part 2, but there's still some English, and the English is great, and you don't get that in the English dub, so yeah, JoJo is probably one of the only times you'd ever see me recommend a dub, or I mean a sub over the dub, unless the series just has a terrible dub. Like, if it has a bad dub, like Hajime no Ippo, then yeah, I'm gonna recommend the Japanese version, but I don't think JoJo's dub is bad. I just think Japanese is the best way to watch a JoJo. I just think the actors capture it better, because Japanese acting is so over the top. And you don't have to deal with any phony accents, and you have the English, and I just think it works better. But the dub is not bad. If you are a dub fan, you'll probably like it fine enough. It's not awful or anything, but I don't think it's as good as a lot of modern dubs are, and I also don't think that it's as good as the Japanese version, but that's just my personal opinion. So the dub, take it or leave it. I'd recommend Japanese, but go ahead and watch it on Toonami, give it that support, watch it officially, or watch the series on Crunchyroll. No sponsorships involved in this video. I just really like when people actually support a series instead of pirating it, so do that, please. Or don't, fuck me, right? But anyways, that's all I have to say. So what do you guys think of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood? If you have seen it, did this video make you want to see it? Did this video make you never want to see it? Did this video make you want to burn Phantom Blood alive? Tell me in the comment section below. You can also follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. And you can follow me on Twitter, at DAJFilms on Twitter. I've had it since like 2014, and I shared my recent JoJo upload, my recent JoJo Part 4 video on there, and I'm going to activate that Twitter and try to be more active on it. So, yeah, follow me on Twitter as well, at DAJFilms. Give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you've seen here. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.